days for Bautista at third base. Scott Rowland has a slight lower back injury. Nothing serious, but he'll take a little rest and watch the Royals and Blue Jays today. DeJesus 0 for 4 yesterday. He walked and scored as well. Here's the 1-0 pitch from Halladay, fouled away 1-1. So today Roy is after his 10th win. He'd be the first in the major leagues to double digits. Kevin Slowey and Zach Greinke are tied for second with 8 victories. Slowey of the Twins goes later today in Seattle. There's the 1-1 pitch in for a strike. On the National League side, 5 different pitchers have 7 victories. So Halladay is clearly at the head of the class. Here's the 1-2 offering to DeJesus. It's in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Mentioned that 91 innings so far of work leads Major League Baseball, and over the last 3 seasons Roy Halladay has pitched 200+ innings and has done that 5 times during the course of his career. A real workhorse for the Jays.
He gets a ground ball. Scudero eats it up and throws to first. Scooped nicely by Overbay. DeJesus is gone. On Tuesday against the Angels, note the number of pitches, Rance, 133. Might that have an effect in the outing today against Kansas City?
I think they'll definitely monitor Halladay quite closely. We will not see that type of pitch count this afternoon. But I don't think so. I don't think it'll be a problem for him because not that deep into the season. If it were in August, maybe a little bit more concerned for the fact he might be a little tired today, maybe not quite as sharp. But I expect Roy Halladay to be strong here this afternoon.
133, the most thrown by a starting pitcher in the big leagues this year. And along the way, a career high 14 strikeouts. As Willie Bloomquist fouls it back and falls behind 0-2. And as we know, Halladay isn't a big fan of striking batters out. He would much rather get a ground out after 2 pitches.
Less effort. You don't have to use as many pitches. One of the reasons that he threw 133, you could see he only walked 1 hitter. So it wasn't due to a little bit of wildness. It was due in big part to all the strikeouts.
Here's a shot on the ground for Aaron Hill back in the lineup. He throws out Bloomquist. Aaron had the day off yesterday after going 0 for 25 at the plate. We'll see if he can bust out of that today against Kyle Davies. But first, Billy Butler, the first baseman, strides to the plate for the Royals. A former first-round pick in the 04 draft. Butler looks like he could hit you 30 home runs. He's got the build. To this point, just 4 on the season.
The ball definitely jumps off of his bat. Yesterday, in his first AB, hit a line drive to Marco Scudero. The ball was hit as hard as any ball I've seen hit all year. Later would double in the ball game. But I think you're right, Jamie. Potentially this is a guy that could develop into a 25-30 home run type hitter.
Here's Roy. Breaking ball, and he strikes out Billy Butler. 1, 2, 3 go the Royals. in his customary 2 spot. He's 0 for 25 at the plate. Lyle Overbay is on a bit of a run. 12 consecutive games with a base hit. Overbay doubled in the 7th in the effort yesterday. So today the Blue Jays will face right-hander Kyle Davies, whose last win came against Toronto. That was in April in Kansas City.
He has struggled with his control throughout the 09 season. You can see 64 innings of work, 31 base on balls. That most certainly has been a problem for Kyle Davies.
Just his luck, too. He hasn't won a game since April 30th, and he goes up against Roy Halladay this afternoon.
And you would expect Marco Scutaro probably knows that Davies has struggled with control. Would not be surprised to see Marco Scutaro in his first at bat this afternoon try to work the count. We've seen him on a number of occasions jump a pitch early.
There's a fly to right field.
And lo and behold, and that might have been ball 2. The ball might have been a little up.
What do you know about Davies?
Pretty good arm, a fastball that will touch 93. He will cut it once in a while. Curve, slider, and change. But as I mentioned earlier, control has been a problem for him.
And in particular, in the first inning. We've been told that Davies can get so amped up to start a game that he can lose his control early on. And the key to his game is trying to get through the first inning quickly and without damage. Here he faces Aaron Hill, who is in quite a slide right now, 0 for his last 25. 2 balls and no strikes. In fact, it's the longest hitless streak by a Blue Jay since Troy Gloss went 0 for 27 in the 07 season. And despite all of this, Aaron still sits number 1 in the American League with 77 hits. That's why he's hitting .309.
Sometimes it's just nice to be able to get away from the game for a day mentally.
I never thought Aaron had the kind of swing that could lead to long slumps.
Anybody can get into a slump. It happens to the best of them. Aaron Hill probably a little more less likely than someone who's more of a free swinger, has a little bit of a longer swing. Aaron, of course, very short and compact.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Davies, a 25-year-old. He comes from Decatur, Georgia. Making his 12th start of 2009. He's got a full count on Aaron Hill. The windup and the pitch. And it's grounded foul. Davies was originally drafted by the Braves, but acquired from Atlanta midway through the 07 season in exchange for reliever Octavio Dotel. Here's another try on 3-2, and he walks Hill.
Defensively this afternoon, the Kansas City Royals, De Jesus, Meyer, Ian in the outfield, Tian at third, Bloomquist at short, Callaspo at second, Butler at first, Olivo behind the plate, and Kyle Davies does the pitching this afternoon for the Kansas City Royals.
Next up, Alex Rios hitting .263. 7 home runs for Alex, 27 RBIs. Likely not the kind of numbers Blue Jay fans are hoping for on June the 7th. But you take away that 5 strikeout day on Thursday, and Alex is certainly showing signs of coming out of a mid-May funk. Davies from the stretch with Hill on first base, and he gets a swing 0-2 now on Rios. Three of the last 2 of his 3 hits in that stretch of 6 games have gone over the fence, which is good news.
Rios has shown signs of maybe putting together consistent at bats, and it seems like about the time looks like he's got some things figured out and he's going to take off, he reverts back. Has not been able to really go through a stretch of 2 to 3 weeks where a lot of very good consistent at bats and solid contact.
Here's a ground ball, and it's into center field as Callaspo was covering. Hill had darted from first, hit in the perfect spot by Rios. So Alex singles, and now Hill's at third.
Excuse me, Jamie. Just a great example of what happens when runners run off of first base. It oftentimes will open up a hole. The second baseman breaks to cover the bag. I'm not quite so sure why Callaspo broke early. He was cheating way over. You could see there with that camera shot for the double play, playing Alex Rios to pull. He didn't have to vacate that early. But Alex Rios and the Jays are more than glad to have seen him do so.
And so Vernon Wells now comes up. 1 away, first and third. Here's another look. Look for Callaspo, the second baseman. He was awfully close to the bag. You make a great point.
He's basically about where he's standing right now with Wells at the plate is where he was playing Rios. So he was very close to the bag. Did not need to cheat or leave early to get there on the steal.
Ball 1 to Vernon.
When you're playing 30, 40 feet away from that bag and your responsibility is to cover it, obviously if the runner goes, you got to leave right away or you're going to be late getting to the bag. But where he's standing right now, doesn't need to.
Vernon, as we know, is in a home run funk. It's been a month and a day since his last. It was in Anaheim against the Angels on May the 6th. Not to jump on Vernon, but you never really expect your number 4 hitter to go an entire month without hitting a home run.
No, you wouldn't, quite honestly, and it's been a tough stretch for Vernon Wells.
Here's the 1-1, and it bounces in front of Olivo. He keeps it in front.
Fortunately for Olivo, ball bounced up and hit Wells. Otherwise, it's going to get away from him, and it most certainly would have allowed Rios to move into scoring position. Here's the replay, and you'll see it bounce right up and hit Vernon Wells right in the chest. I don't know if Hill would have been able to score, but Rios would have moved second with no problem.
Two and one, and it's lifted high in the air to right field. Guillen over toward the line. Hill tags, and in he comes to score. Vernon drives in the first run of the game, and the Blue Jays have an early lead.
Pretty good swing from Wells. His balance was very good, deep enough that Hill would score, but you get a good look at the arm strength of Guillen. He has an outstanding throwing arm. You can see if the throw's on the plate, it's going to be close.
So the Blue Jays take advantage and lead it 1-0. Adam Lind is the designated hitter this afternoon. First pitch fastball from Davies, in for strike one. Rios breaks from first. Here's the throw. Not in time. And Alex steals a base. He's got 6 this year.
Rios with a pretty good jump off of first base and an outstanding catch and throw by Olivo just to make this close at second base. I really didn't think he had much of a chance. But with a quick release, throw pretty much on the money, almost was able to catch Rios, who had a pretty good jump.
So here's the 1-1 inside, and it's hit high in the air to center field. Meyer is back there in front of the track, and a long fly out ends the inning. The Blue Jays pick up a run, though, and lead the Royals. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers. Shocker. Over the last 32 starts in this building, Roy Halladay's 24-5 with 8 complete games. You don't say.
Nothing surprises me with Roy Halladay. It just seems like as his career progresses, he just gets better and better, and that's hard to do considering how good he's been.
He's been utterly brilliant this year, and in the second inning, he gets a ground ball from Mike Jacobs. And that is Marco Scutero near second making the play. They had shifted to the right side for the pull hitter Jacobs.
We were talking last night at dinner about Halladay, and Cito Gaston was saying, and Jeff Ross was there with us having dinner, longtime clubhouse manager, equipment manager for the Blue Jays. And typically, he gets to the ballpark in spring training by 6 o'clock. Jeff Ross does. And he says, I never beat Halladay there. He's always there. I mean, his work ethic and preparation between starts is just phenomenal. I've personally really never seen anyone that prepares like Roy Halladay. So the success is not an accident. It's by design.
Here's a slash to right field. Guillen has a base hit. 1 out and 1 on in the second for Kansas City. You know, it's funny. We broadcast the game on Tuesday, the night that Halladay pitched a complete game against the Angels. And since 0-2, look at the numbers here.
First in wins, first in complete games, winning percentage. And he could easily be after his 12th win this afternoon. He
no question.
Had a no decision in Atlanta. Went 8 innings of shutout baseball.
But long after that game on Tuesday, about 45 minutes or so, everybody had cleared out. This broadcast booth was dark. Pat Tabler and I were standing by and just having some conversations about all kinds of things when we noticed Halladay in sweats heading out toward left field. And I turned to Pat and I said, you're not telling me he's just thrown 133 pitches and he's going to go run laps? And it turns out his 2 boys were out there playing with a little wiffle ball. But it wouldn't shock us. A grounder to Hill. He drops it, but gets it to second to get 1. So instead of a double play, Tien's on first with a fielder's choice.
As a tailor-made double play, about as easy as they get. And just Aaron Hill had a little trouble finding the handle, was able to recover and get the force out at second. And of course, in Baltimore, Halladay left that game after 7 innings, going to the bottom of the 8th with a 5-run lead. The Jays would eventually lose that. That would be their 9th consecutive loss. So he could have easily won those ball games.
That was a heartbreaker.
And could have started this afternoon 11-1.
Here's Alberto Callaspo, who has 18 doubles this year, 4th most in the American League. Both Adam Lind and Michael Young of the Texas Rangers share top spot in that respect with 21. Tien with the lead. The 0-1 pitch. Slashed foul. Callaspo, the second baseman, bats 7th for the Royals. Miguel Oliva, the catcher, is on deck. Here's the 2-strike pitch. Tien runs. The throw is off the mark. And Hill does a wonderful job of preventing it from rolling into center field.
Initially, I thought it was going to be an easy play because our angle up here, you could see that Aaron Hill was going to be able to back this up, but it looked like it just skipped off the glove. Now it hit the runner and changed directions, and Hill had to make a very quick adjustment. Nice job, because Tien would have definitely moved over to third base if Aaron Hill is not able to corral the baseball.
Tien moves up a base. He's at second. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Callaspo. Halladay with the pitch. And it's lined to center field. And Vernon catches up to it. No problem for Roy. And after 1.5, it's a 1-0 lead, Toronto. Text the word draft to short code 707070, keeping in mind that standard message rates do apply. We played 1.5 innings here in Toronto. Jamie Campbell is with Rance Mullenix and Sam Cosentino. 1-0 for the Jays on a base hit and a sacrifice fly in the first inning. Vernon Wells drove home Aaron Hill. And so the Blue Jays' hottest hitter to date, Lyle Overbay, leads off the last of the second against Kyle Davies. Overbay has hit in a season-high 12 straight, batting .436 since the 20th of May, and has a double in each of his last 6 starts. He bangs this one to center field. Hit a long, long way, and you can kiss it goodbye. Oh, my goodness. It hit the restaurant in center field.
Lyle Overbay has the ability or the potential to hit 25, 30 home runs, possesses that type of power. And here you get a good look at why many people feel that way. This ball landing on top of that glass out there in center field. That is a long way to hit a baseball.
Number 7 on the year for Overbay. Needless to say, he's now hit safely in 13. And look, he said, I think I got a little bit of it. So it's 2-0 for the Blue Jays. Here's a line shot taken by Bloomquist, and Barajas is gone. It's nice to see the Blue Jays hitting home runs again. They went through a stretch there near the end of May, and in particular in that 9-game losing streak on the road, they only hit 2.
Well, the power is slowly starting to return, and it goes without saying that makes a huge difference, because with one swing of the bat you can get a run, sometimes 2 or 3.
So with 1 out, here is Jose Bautista.
I've said this before, all good teams possess impact speed and impact power. You have game-changing speed or game-changing power in your lineup. It's not an easy game to play, but it makes it a little bit easier because you always know if you can get a runner aboard, maybe a couple aboard, one swing of the bat, you can score 3 runs.
Would you say this team has impact power? They don't have one man with impact power.
At least no one yet this year that's really stood out, with the exception Aaron Hill does have 12 home runs. But potentially up and down the lineup, yes. You know, potentially this is a team that could end up, let's just take Aaron Hill, you go to Alex Rios, you go to Vernon Wells, who sooner or later is going to find the power stroke, Adam Lind, Lyle Overbay. Every one of those are capable of finishing with 20-plus homers on the year. And then you would definitely classify that as a ball club that has impact power. They don't have anybody that's going to hit 35 or 40, but they have several guys that can hit 20 or better.
Now, Joe Inglet has 5 home runs career, so we won't call him impact, but here's a shot out to center field into the glove of Mitch Meyer. And the last 3 are retired, but Lyle Overbay, the first man up,
For your chance to win an all-expense-paid trip to see the Jays in comfort. TD Canada Trust, putting you in the comfort zone.
Back at Rogers Center, it's the Blue Jays and Royals for the third and final time. Toronto leads this one 2-0. We begin the third inning with the number 8 hitter, Miguel Olivo. Mitch Meyer, the left fielders on deck for Kansas City, and David DeJesus will follow. Roy Halladay watches that one bounce to Bautista. He's got a long way to throw it, and what a bullet! Oh.
Well, Bautista with a nice play. He didn't get a real good jump initially of the ball off the bat. Not a real good read right away. But he did make a nice adjustment, give a little ground, and then set himself an outstanding arm. That took some arm strength to get Olivo at first base after he had to retreat a little bit.
And if you're just tuning in and wondering why Bautista's playing third for the second straight day, and there is a fair ball down the line. Excuse me, a foul ball. Pardon me.
Hey, Overbay diving for it there had you thinking a little bit. He kind of surprised me initially.
He got up and made one of the aw shucks moves. I should have had that one. But Scott Rowland is experiencing some slight lower back pain, and so he's out for the second straight day, and that's why you see Bautista playing third. The 1-1 to Mitch Meyer. He swings and misses.
Counts 1-2, which is not unusual with Halladay on the mound. And after a curveball like that, again, as a hitter, you got to slow down a little bit so you're not so much out in front. Really opens up the door for Halladay to do a lot of things.
Backhanded by Hill. And he gets it to first. Meyer's gone, 2 away. It's funny, on Tuesday we were talking about how John Lackey loves to sit and watch Roy Halladay work whenever the Angels get together to play the Blue Jays, and clearly Zach Greinke is the first man up on the top step for the Kansas City Royals. Certainly watching a guy he would probably like to emulate. Zach's having a great start, obviously, but he's on the top step of the dugout, as close as you can get without actually being in play.
And that tells you a lot about Zach Greinke, because he's off to a great start. He's really starting to become one of the best starting pitchers in baseball, yet he's still out here watching arguably the best, trying to learn. And you love to see that. If you the Royals organization, you love to see that your young guy out there, he's not taking anything for granted. He doesn't feel like I've got it made because I'm having a good year so far. I can still learn a lot, and nobody better to learn from than Roy Halladay.
Here's DeJesus, and he pops this one up. Sprinting after it is Bautista, and it's beyond his reach.
It's not uncommon for sometimes a young player to have some success and begin to take it for granted, feel like I've kind of got this thing figured out now. And that means that individual's not going to be pushing himself to even get better. But I don't think that's the case with a young man right there.
One ball and 2 strikes on DeJesus. 2 gone, third inning. Let's bring in the third man on our broadcast team, Sam Cosentino.
Well, Jamie, it's pretty interesting. I've watched Greinke that when the Royals are out in the field, he actually will take a seat in the dugout or move back down to the tunnel into the clubhouse. So obviously very intent when Doc is out there.
Understandably, too. The 1-2 pitch in the dirt. It's like going down to spring training before they move on to Dunedin Stadium and watching some of the minor league pitchers gather around when Halladay throws a side session. It's akin to tossing bread to seagulls. You throw a piece out there, and the next thing you know, there's 100 of them, and that's what it looks like. Seemingly hundreds of minor league pitchers standing and watching as Halladay works. Here he's working against the leadoff hitter, David DeJesus. The 2-2 pitch down low, ball 3. Roy doesn't walk very many, just 12 all year. Into the windup and the pitch. Ground ball up the middle, and that sneaks through, a base hit.
Nice at bat by DeJesus, able to battle back, get 3-2. Finally gets a pitch that you don't see that often either, a pitch from Roy Halladay that's right down Broadway. And of course, Halladay does not finish in a good position to field his position. Ball hit sharply past him.
Looking over his shoulder and getting a strike on Bloomquist. Willie tripled yesterday.
That was the big hit in yesterday's game as far as the Royals were concerned. That really kind of broke things open for them. DeJesus, 1 stolen base, does not run a lot, but with Roy Halladay on the mound, who, as we all know, is very deliberate with his delivery to the plate, thought that DeJesus might try to run early in this at bat and get into scoring position for Bloomquist.
0-1, and DeJesus darts, and it doesn't matter anyway because Halladay just struck out the batter. So Bloomquist goes down looking. 1 hit in the inning, nothing more for the Royals. Please visit BlueJays.com, where baseball is always on. Bottom of 3 upcoming. Marco Scutaro leads off for the Blue Jays, who lead 2-0 over the Kansas City Royals. Roy Halladay with an eye on victory number 10 in the game this afternoon. He's opposed by right-hander Kyle Davies. Just over 10 years ago, Davies was named by Baseball America as the top 14 and then again the top 15-year-old ball player in the United States during his high school years. Two 2-0 on Scutaro. That must be something else to be a teenager playing ball and reading that one of the reputable publications is calling you the best in the country at what you do. Not surprisingly, he was later drafted in the 4th round by the Braves. Lack of control here against Scudero, and it's 3-0.
You would think someone that had been rated that highly would have been in the 1st round as opposed to the 4th.
He fell off the board a little bit.
I guess so. Maybe he's a little tender his senior year, Jamie.
Maybe. He loses Scudero on 4 pitches.
And his first at bat, I thought Marco Scudero would try to work the count. Chose not to on a 1-0 pitch, a fastball that was borderline. Flew out to right field, but second at bat here this afternoon, it appeared that he was clearly going to take until at least he had a strike. Ends up walking on 4 straight.
Strike 1 on Hill.
Aaron Hill looks to me like this afternoon. He walked in his first at bat, was very patient. Looked like he's trying to give himself a chance to see the ball. The last couple of ball games that was able to see Aaron Hill participate in, he was very impatient, swinging at everything, not giving himself a chance to recognize the pitch.
Strike 2.
Fastball from Davies in a very good spot on that inside corner.
When things were going well early for Aaron, he would swing at fastballs early like that.
Again, it goes back. I think he's really, this afternoon, trying to give himself a chance to see the baseball, try to stay back.
Now he finds himself in a hole, and it's up high for ball 1. 3 straight fastballs from Davies.
They've been, in particular, chasing a lot of bad breaking pitches. And right here is a situation if Davies is going to throw him one after the last 2 fastballs, one for a strike in, one for a ball off the plate, to throw that one.
Breaking ball, whack to left field, and well hit. You can kiss that one goodbye. That ends the drought. An 0 for 25 no longer for Aaron Hill, and it's 4-0 for the Jays.
You almost sense the entire at bat. This is the pitch that he was waiting on. 2 strikes, tough to look for it. And Davies did hang it. But Aaron Hill was not fooled by it at all. And so far, so good. The day off is starting to pay dividends, and quickly.
What a way to break out of it, Rance. We often talk about players who get into long droughts like that, needing like a little bleeder or a blooper or a broken bat single just to get themselves back in a groove.
Get some confidence back. Aaron Hill puts a charge in one.
Alex Rios trying to.
But even as bad as it had been for Aaron Hill, he goes 0 for 25. He comes into this afternoon's ball game, as you mentioned, Jamie, still leading the AL in hits with 77, now, of course, with 78. And a batting average of .309 with 12 home runs and 38 RBIs.
His team just doesn't really give up the home run very often, but they've given up 2 today. One and 2. It was Rios who singled and stole a base in the first. He pushed Aaron Hill over to third, and Aaron came in on a sacrifice fly by Vernon Wells to give the Blue Jays a 1-0 lead at that time. Overbay with a solo home run in the second, and now Hill with a 2-run shot. 4-0 for the Jays. This is the last thing you want to see if you're a Kansas City Royal today. Watching the Blue Jays get some early runs with Roy Halladay pitching. 2-2.
Looked like a mix-up there between Davies and Olivo. But again, he's ahead in the count 1-2 to Aaron Hill. Hangs the breaking ball. It gets hit out of the park. He's ahead in the count 1-2 to Rios. And Now back 3-2 to a full count.
Base hit. Alex is 2 for 2.
Yeah, that's what happens. You know, 3-2. You come all the way back to 3-2, and you can't be quite as fine, and you borrow a little bit too much of the plate. A breaking ball that hangs a little bit, looked like a slider, and Rios hit it hard into left field.
Been tough for Davies the last little while. He's lost his last 4, even though he's gone relatively deep into the games. 5 2/3 the last 2 losses to Tampa Bay and Detroit. He went 6 in St. Louis on May 22nd. Lost again the start prior against Baltimore, despite going 7 innings and giving up just 3 earned runs. He's in a hole here. 4-0 is the lead for Toronto. Still nobody out. Runner at first, and Vernon Wells is the batter. Vernon drove in a run with a sacrifice fly in the first inning, and now has 28 RBIs. But we talked about this. Among number 4 hitters, his numbers are awfully low. Lots of hits, just not the power numbers you would expect.
I talked with Cito Gaston last night, and he still thinks that Wells is not getting started soon enough. What do you mean, getting loaded up soon enough? And for me, at times, the balance just doesn't look good. It looks like his upper half kind of gets over the lower half, and then he can't get out of his own way. Now, his last swing when he hit a sac fly, it was a good swing. His balance looked good.
Here's a fly to left field. And Jesus puts out Wells for out number 1. Rance, Gene Tennis, the hitting coach, put it in simple terms for me. I said, what do you tell a hitter when he's not getting started in time? He said, you tell him to get started in time.
I was going to say, get started.
What he was trying to say is it's not that difficult. Or is it? You're the old hitter. What do you think?
I always felt like it's better to start a little bit early as opposed to a fraction or a little bit late. You know, because if you start a little bit early, the body, you don't have near the tendency to rush forward, and even sometimes when you start a little bit early, you get that load a little bit early. Even if you get out on the front foot, the hands will stay back because you kind of glide forward instead of jump forward, and you still have something left to hit with.
Alex Rios heading for second, and the throw is dropped by Bloomquist, so he steals a base again. That's 2 today for Rios, and 7 stolen bases on the year.
Great look, good jump, quick snap throw, but well, if Bloomquist is able to handle the throw, Rios might have been out at first base.
And Willie knows that too.
At second base, excuse me. But the last swing, very quickly, just to finish up on Wells, the last swing when he flies out to left field, he hit the ball off the end of the bat, but I thought the balance looked, that'll make your head ring. I don't mean to laugh. He's not, this is nothing serious, fortunately, but you get a replay, follow through. Well, Lynn lets go with the top hand.
Oh.
And that'll definitely get your attention. But his balance was good, and the bat speed was very good. He just hit the ball off the end of the bat somewhat.
One and 2. Davies the pitch. Lynn gets under it, flies it into right field. Guillen trots in. Rios tags. Here comes that bullet of an arm. And he just gets there safely. My, he's got a hose.
Yes, he does. Jose Guillen has an outstanding throwing arm. He's in very good position. Rios, of course, with outstanding speed, is able to tag and move. But this is a fun play to watch. You know, up here in the stands, because you can see it all developing. You get to see the speed. You get to see the arm strength. Always love to watch those outfielders that could really throw when they have an opportunity to show off that arm. It's always fun to watch. At least it is for me.
You got to watch Jesse Barfield every day. As Lyle Overbay, who homered last time up, steps in. And Guillen, like Barfield, seems to throw straight as an arrow.
He does, because he gets on top of the baseball, he four-seams it, and it has very good carry, and it's very true.
There's the 1-0 pitch. Whereas Alex Rios, who has a very good arm, seems to have a natural slice to his throw.
Yeah, it has some tail to it because he kind of throws from three-quarter arm slot. It doesn't get on top of the baseball real well, and it will have some, run to it.
Here's the pitch to Overbay. It's a strike.
Yeah, I always felt that Jesse Barfield, I've seen a lot of guys with very good arms who throw through extremely well, but I don't think I ever saw anybody that possessed that type of arm strength that was any more accurate than Jesse was. Just extremely accurate.
Fouled back by Overbay. I remember seeing Barfield, then with the New York Yankees, throw out a runner at home plate who had been at third on a single to right field from third base. He did it routinely from guys heading in from second, but this man was standing at third. Two and two. And that gets away, and Rios decides not to budge. And therein lies the advantage of having a base runner at third when the pitcher is a little wild.
Yeah, and it puts a little more pressure on the infield. You got to handle the ball cleanly. If you were to make an error, the Jays would pick up another run. So that runner at third creates a little bit of a different situation for the pitcher, the catcher, and the infielders.
Here's the payoff. Down for ball four, and Davies is really struggling this afternoon. He's walked three. Two of the three have come in to score. He's given up a pair of home runs. And his team is in a 4-0 hole. First and third for the Jays. And the batter is Rod Barajas.
He came into this afternoon's ball game, did Kyle Davies, 64 innings of work, 31 walks, so averaging just about one every 2 innings. That's too many at this level for sure. And it also does not indicate how often he has been behind in the count. You can see that, the stuff's there. He's got a good fastball, good sharp breaking pitch. He's thrown a couple of pretty good changeups this afternoon. I think sometimes also, pitchers, especially young pitchers, if your ball club's struggling to score runs, and that's been a problem for this Royal offense, and then you go out there and you feel like, well, if you give up 2 or 3 runs, you're going to lose the ball game, and you start trying to be too fine or too perfect, and you start walking hitters, you start getting behind in the count, which eventually leads to mistakes. And I'm not trying to make an excuse for Kyle Davies, but most certainly that can get in your mind.
Barajas lined out softly to short immediately after Overbay had homered in the second. Rios at third, Overbay over at first. 4-0 Toronto. And the 1-2 offering inside for ball 2. Third baseman Tien is over to second for the force, and that's the inning. The Blue Jays scored twice more. Aaron Hill breaks out of a slump in a big way. He goes deep for his 13th home run of the year. To at least put the question in your mind, is Roy Halladay capable of winning 300? He's now 32 years of age.
The only thing that will prevent, I think, Roy Halladay from possibly reaching the 300 milestone is, can he stay healthy for another 10 years? And the way he works, I would say that there's a good chance that can happen. But the health will be the key. But still, you look at that, he's the number of wins, 140 coming into the afternoon's game. If you pitch another 10 years and average 15 wins a year, which is quite an accomplishment.
Into center field, charging hard Rios. He's backed up by Wells, and Butler has a bloop single that hung up there an awful long time.
Now the outfielder's playing deep, respecting the power of Butler. Hits it right off the end of the bat. And sometimes with a big swing like that, the initial reaction of a outfielder is to freeze, hold his position so that the ball is, you see a big swing, sometimes you anticipate the ball being hit for some distance. This not the case. Rios almost able to catch up with it. But he did, from this angle up here, he had a long way to go to even make that close. But that would give him 290. Be another 150 wins.
You have to consider that it took Roy a while to get to this level on a full-time basis because of the fact the Blue Jays sent him all the way down to single A to adjust his mechanics. He missed a lot of time early in his career. Jacobs a base hit now. First and second, nobody out for the Royals. He was drafted in '95, but really didn't pitch his first full season in the majors until 2002 when he won 19 games. So he missed a lot of time early on.
Yeah, he's not a guy that came to the big leagues at 21 years old and established himself and stayed here. You know, he did get to the big leagues at an early age, but then, as you mentioned, Jamie, he had to go back to the minor leagues and figure some things out.
Here's the first sign of trouble for Roy. The first two are on, and Jose Guillen, a power bat, steps in to face Doc.
Guillen singled in his first at bat to right field.
Two strikes as he paints the corner. 0-2 now on Guillen.
That was back-to-back paint.
It was.
And now if you're the hitter, you're getting. Now where's he going? Does he go back out there? He's running on my hands, and especially against the Halliday.
Grounded to third. Bautista goes to second. There's one. Over to first, a double play. Just what the doctor ordered. Bautista starts the 5-4-3.
Couple of things make this happen. Ball to Bautista. He gets rid of it very quickly, knowing he needs to, with a lot on it. Perfect strike. And Hill, with a very nice turn at second base, getting rid of the ball very quickly to complete the double play.
Let's bring in Sam Cosentino.
Well, Jamie, over the course of Roy Halladay's starts, the Blue Jays have scored 2 or more runs 24 times, and 6 of those occasions the opponent has come back to get at least 1 run. So if there's one area of weakness, I wouldn't even call it that. That's been something that we've kept our eye on throughout the course of this season.
9 of 11 of Roy's starts have been of the quality variety, meaning at least 6 innings and 3 earned runs or less. That is pretty impressive as Mark Teahan stands in, the third baseman. In fact, if you want an impressive statistic, consider this. Roy has now pitched at least 7 innings in each of his last 12 starts to begin the season. The last man with a streak of that kind was Curt Schilling, who went 13 in 2001 with Arizona. And now Roy, covering the bag at first, gets out of this jam by getting Teahan to ground out after watching the first 2 get on with base hits. This afternoon is the Canadian Immunodeficiency Society, courtesy of TD Canada Trust. Jamie Campbell with Rance Mullenix this afternoon. Sam Cosentino is here as well, indoors today. They're calling for rain in Toronto. Of course, we can't tell if it's raining. If you're watching in Toronto, you look out your window. We have no windows near here, so we're told it's not nice out. It's nice for the Blue Jays. 4-0 is the lead. They've hit 2 home runs. One from Lyle Overbay, another from Aaron Hill. And Roy Halladay has pitched effectively, as you would expect, wiggling out of a bit of a pickle in the 4th inning. So Kyle Davies goes back to work for the Royals, and he faces Jose Bautista. When Davies first came up with the Braves in 2005 at the age of 21, he pitched a game that year with Brian McCann catching, as Bautista sneaks the ball under Tien's glove. It seemed to handcuff him, and now Bautista's turning for second. The throw is there, and he is gone.
That's a good play.
Does he have an argument?
We'll see on the replay, but it was a good play by Bautista to try to stretch this, leading off the inning into extra bases. The ball was not well played by Tien. You see there, right, he got stuck. Got back on his heels, and he misplays the baseball, and there's the look at the slide. Hard to tell from that angle. But Bautista reacted as if he snuck his hand in there before he was tagged.
One and one on England. Another look.
Here's a great shot. There's the glove, and it looked like his hand went right past it. But usually if the ball arrives ahead of you, unless there's something very obvious, you're going to get the out call. There's the glove. His hand goes around, and right there it didn't look like he had touched him yet. Great slide.
Popped up by England. Tien in from third, and the ball finally comes down for the second out. I made reference, though, earlier to a start that Davies made at the age of 21 while with Atlanta in 05. His catcher that day, Brian McCann, was 21, and at the time became the youngest battery to start a game in the big leagues since Dwight Gooden, who was 19, pitching to John Gibbons, who was just 21 years of age with the Mets in 1984. We forget that Gibby was just a puppy when he first arrived at the major league level as a backup with the New York Mets. There's Gibby, who was in the bullpen for the Mets in the '86 World Series. So he and Mookie Wilson were teammates then. They talked for a long time the other night. Scudero, a base hit.
I haven't had a chance to even speak to John Gibbons. Been so busy with this weekend, all the events going on surrounding the anniversary of the 20 years since they opened Rogers Center.
It's Gibby's birthday tomorrow.
I think Gibby might be the first to tell you, I was early to arrive at the big leagues and early to leave.
He turns 47 tomorrow and celebrates with an off day in Cleveland.
Well, happy birthday, early happy birthday to John Gibbons. Great guy, always a pleasure to visit with. About as laid back as they come.
Boy, oh boy.
Sure, it was a thrill for him, though, to be part of that '86 World Championship Ball Club.
Oh, in the shoulder. That one tagged Aaron Hill.
Well, no intent by Davies. He's just trying to pitch Aaron Hill in and keep the fastball on his hands, and the ball just gets away from him a little bit. And if you're a young hitter at home, watch the way Hill turns and gets that shoulder up to protect his face and the head. If you see that ball up and in, that's the way you're supposed to do it.
He's a man with big shoulders, broad shoulders. Well built up top. So that puts runners at first and second. Alex Rios is 2 for 2. He's singled twice. Davies' struggles has caused the bullpen to stir a little bit for the Royals. High cheese, and he goes after it. The throw down, but nobody covering third. So Scutaro advances to third.
I'm not sure if Marco Scutaro, I think he just got too far out there. And good snap throw by Olivo, but Scutaro made the right decision. He was not going to get back to second base. I don't think that was anything that was drawn up. That wasn't his plan, but he realized right away that they had caught him. So he reacted, broke the third, and that was his only chance, paid off for him.
The 1-2 breaking ball for ball 2.
When Alex
what a quick reaction that has to be.
Well, he did. It was just nothing but reaction. He realized I'm a dead duck if I try to go back to second base. Alex Rios, when he's staying off that bad breaking ball, that ball that finishes out of the strike zone, down or off the plate, away, becomes a pretty tough out.
He jumps on that one and lifts it into center field. Meyer comes in and makes the catch on the run, and that ends the inning. The fourth is complete. The Jays get a pair of hits and no runs, but lead the Royals 4-0. We love having you here, and we see 3 different trips here. A quick 4-gamer in Texas that begins tomorrow. Then it's off to Philadelphia and Washington. The Blue Jays then come back to Toronto for a homestand before going off to new Yankee Stadium for the first time. Won't that be interesting? All 4 of those games from Yankee Stadium can be seen on Sportsnet. In fact, all 4 in the Texas series that starts tomorrow can be seen on Sportsnet. We'll be on the air tomorrow night at 8:05 Eastern Time. Holiday covering. A programming note. But before that, let's go downstairs to Sam Cosentino.
Well, Jamie, you talked about the road trip, and we are definitely in the nutrition age. You know, the Blue Jays trainers have gotten involved in trying to pre-order meals, if you will, that will be served in the visiting clubhouse so as to get their guys to eat a little healthier. You know, when you eat after the ball game that late at night, usually the best choices are the ones that aren't that good for you. And so the Blue Jays trainers trying to change that around a little bit.
You talking about pizza? Great point there, Sam, as Miguel Olivo steps in against Halliday.
I wonder if Sam has any idea
advice?
what they are. No, I know what kind of advice he'd give.
Yeah. Red wine and za.
Yeah, Sam and I have
with a
side
with a side of chicken wings.
Just wondering if you had any idea what they actually are going to order up in Texas. Won't be from on the border, I bet.
I don't think so. Oliva goes down swinging. Strikeout number 3 for Halliday.
Which is, by the way, very good. Good curveball. Cut fastball. Take that back. No, that's one of your favorite places.
I might be there tomorrow night. Or tonight, in fact. We get into Texas tonight.
Well, we got a pretty good shot at it this evening.
France is alluding to a little Mexican place right next to the hotel in Arlington. By the way, a quick note on the broadcast tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those 3 games can be seen on Sportsnet Ontario and Sportsnet Pacific. Broken bat. And a roller to Overbay. A quick inning for Roy. 1-2-3 in the 5th. The Royals are trailing 4-0. And the Blue Jays in the last of the 5th bring Vernon Wells to the plate when we return. (416-341-1234) for tickets. The first 10,000 get the Ace Visor, courtesy of Lester's Hot Dog. I think a handful of people just turned off the TV. Kidding, Scott. There he is. And his intern, Scott Carruthers, too. Enough of the pecking. You guys, I tell you, give them some toys and they get out of hand. Here's Vernon. Kyle Davies on the hill. Has had some trouble today. He's only given up 6 hits, but 2 of them left the park. Pitch to Vernon on the ground up the middle, a base hit. Is one of the roles of being a first baseman to also be a bit of a social convener? It's got to be the chattiest position in baseball.
doesn't hurt anything. Doesn't hurt anything, but you know, lots of times it just depends on the personality of the individual. You know, some first basemen I talk to you constantly, like a Kevin Millar, and others. You know, you take a John Olerud. You know, probably not going to say anything unless you speak to him, and then you're just going to get, I'm fine, or something like that.
You know, when Millar signed, as we look at Ramon Colon warming up with the Blue Jays, one of the comments that Aaron Hill made was it would be good to have him on the team because he knew then that when he played the Baltimore Orioles, who Millar played for last year, anytime he'd get on first base, he was going to get all kinds of chatting. At the very least, he could make a point of staying away from Millar if he didn't want to hear him chatter. Hill said the best part of getting a double against Baltimore last year is that you didn't have to stop and chat with Millar at first base. All in jest, of course. Up high on Adam Lind. Now, among designated hitters in the American League East, look at what Adam Lind has been able to do. And look at the man at the bottom, David Ortiz, who hit his second home run against Texas last night.
He wrapped that one around the pesky pole. I
yes,
saw the
he
highlight.
did. Callaspo to Bloomquist, over to first, and a double play.
And an outstanding turn, all started by Callaspo, ranging to his left, set himself quickly, quick snap throw to Bloomquist. You get a great look at it. Second baseman makes this double play with his footwork, quick release, and then all Bloomquist had to do was clear himself of Wells and complete the double play.
So the bases are clear, 2 away, and here's Lyle Overbay.
You obviously catch the ball with your hands, but you get yourself in position with your feet. And all very good infielders have excellent footwork.
Here is the 1-1 pitch. A changeup stroked into center field. And a base hit for Overbay. My goodness. If there's a guy in a groove right now, you're looking at him.
He's on fire. That's a changeup in a good spot, but he's seeing the ball so well and waiting, letting the ball travel, that he's able to get enough of it to punch it into center field. I think the big key, though, is not only is he in a real good streak, but the power is starting to come back. The extra base power, the home run. Hit a home run here today, doubled yesterday. Those extra base hits produce runs very quickly. And that's what you need out of your first baseman.
Back comes Barajas, who hit his 4th home run of the year on Friday against Juan Cruz. Good low ball hitter goes after a low ball there and swings and misses. Nothing in 2. Davies has not enjoyed a 1-2-3 inning. Tien over to second, and that's it for the Blue Jays despite 2 hits in the 5th inning. So after 5, it's Toronto 4 and the Royals nothing. Canada's fastest mobile network, 3 times faster than any other. The Jays lead the American League with 31 quality starts this season, 9 of them coming from this man, Roy Halladay, who's certainly putting together a quality effort today against the Royals. He's needed just 58 pitches to get through 5. This comes one start after throwing 133 at the Los Angeles Angels.
I think this afternoon probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 105, maybe 110 would be the total for Halladay this afternoon.
Hill underhands to Overbay, and Jesus is retired for the first out of the 6th inning. Roy has gone at least 7 in each of his 12 starts this year. For an American leaguer, a stretch similar to that one came back in '92 when Roger Clemens had a streak of 14 in which he went at least 7.
It's easy to play behind Roy Halladay for 3 reasons for me. Number 1, he works very quickly. Number 2, he throws a lot of strikes and hits his spots.
1 pitch, 1 more out. Now 2 gone as he gets Bloomquist.
And if you're playing on the infield, the opposition does not hit a lot of balls hard off of him. Most of the stuff that's hit on the ground is not hit very sharply. It's very routine for the most part. And we've seen that today. Really, 4 hits off Halladay this afternoon. But, if you think back so far in this ball game, and start to think, where did somebody off the Royals ball club hit a ball really hard off of him at somebody, or for a base hit? And I can't recall.
Well, he has now thrown a first pitch strike to all but 3 hitters today. And what do they say about the most important pitch? Most important pitch is strike 1.
And we've said this before, when you face Roy Halladay, you might as well pick one side of the plate and be aggressive, because if you walk up, if you take the approach that you're going to wait him out till you get a good pitch to hit, there's a real good chance you're not going to see a good one to hit all afternoon.
0-2 off the plate. What's your mindset when you're a hitter and you're behind 0-1 versus 1-0? It's a little different, isn't it?
It's a big difference. It determines who has very quickly the upper hand in the at bat, and especially against Halladay. Some guys, you go 0-1, it's not so bad because they don't command well.
Swing and a miss. Billy Butler, you're gone. What an effort today from Roy Halladay. Nothing new. 4-0 Toronto. KCA help bring a 7th NHL team to Canada. Back in action, bottom of the 6th inning, inside Rogers Center. Jose Bautista, the hitter. He's 1 for 2, facing Kyle Davies of the Royals. 4-0 Toronto. This is Jamie Campbell with Rance Mullinix and Sam Cosentino. Bautista, the number 8 hitter, playing third for the second straight day. He fouls it away. It might surprise you to learn that Bautista, though really limited in his amount of playing time, has the third best on base percentage on this team at .406 as he rolls that one to short. Part of the reason is he tends to walk a lot.
Left fielder, number 1, Joe England.
And so with one down, Joe Inglet steps in 0 for 2. Joe is just 2 for 15 since being recalled from AAA Vegas. And there's a liner that is caught on the fly by Bloomquist. He stretches out to make the catch. 2 gone.
It looked like Joe Inglet hit the ball right off the end of his bat. And not an easy play, but a quick read by Bloomquist. Able to charge hard, lay out, make a nice play.
Back comes Scudero, and he is 1 for 2. Marco flied to right and then walked in the third. He scored on Hill's home run. In the fourth, he singled to center field. Toronto scored once in the first inning to take an early lead. Overbay then homered in the second. A solo shot, his 7th of the year. Hill added a 2-run home run to break out of his slump in the third, and that's why it's 4-0. If you tack on the fact that Roy Halladay has held the Royals to just 4 base hits through 6 innings of work, it always helps to get good pitching. And the Blue Jays have received just that this year from pretty well everybody. Strike 3 called. Scudero goes down on strikes, and Kyle Davies gets his first 1-2-3 inning of the afternoon. On all channels, RJ Broadhead, John Garrett, and Mike Brophy will provide the details as the Red Wings will get a chance on Tuesday to win the Stanley Cup. They lead the series 3-2 after putting it to the Penguins in game number 5 last night. Here, Roy Halladay is putting it to the Kansas City Royals. They've been held off the board, just 4 hits in 6 innings of work. The Royals are the second worst hitting club in the American League at .246 average coming in. Only Oakland has a lower team average, but you might as well throw that kind of number out the window when you're facing number 32. One ball and one strike. That's inside on Mike Jacobs, the DH. He's 1 for 2 this afternoon.
Got a chew working about the size of a tennis ball there in the right side of his mouth.
He looks like a chipmunk. He rips that one to right field. Despite the shift, he picks up a base hit. Let's go downstairs and bring in Sam Cosentino.
Well, Jamie, Roy Halladay and the rest of the Blue Jays pitchers have been seen over the course of this homestand working with Nick Leyva, the Blue Jays third base coach, on their bunting, getting ready for interleague play starting on Friday against Florida. The Blue Jays will play 15 straight against National League teams. Now, obviously, it doesn't come into effect here, but our next road trip after that, Philadelphia and Washington, the Blue Jays pitchers should be ready to go to at least advance some runners.
Friday, June the 12th, the 3-game set begins here with Florida. And then it's off to, excuse me, Rance, it's off to Philadelphia, then off to Washington, and then back home to play the Cincinnati Reds and the Phillies once again. So they get 6 games against the World Series champions, as Leyva's instructing Scott Richmond earlier today.
Get a very good look at Nick Leyva, giving some bunting instruction to the pitchers. But what I was going to say was, I've always felt like when you go, the American League plays the National League, and you have where the pitchers have to hit, that it gave somewhat of an advantage to the National League ball club, because their pitchers are used to taking batting practice, also working on their bunting on a very consistent day-to-day basis. And it's not, although it looks easy, it is not easy for someone who not used to doing it to get a bunt down. And it's not the easiest thing in the world to do.
Here's the 1-2 from Halladay, and it's lifted into left field. Joe Inglet perfectly placed to retire Jose Guillen, one away in the 7th. The impression I get, Rance, from fans through conversations or blogs is that Interleague has run its course. That said, I doubt things will ever change because of perhaps the financial benefits of having the Yankees face the Mets and the Cubs face the White Sox and the Dodgers against the Angels.
Do they express their reasons as to why they feel that way?
Because they'd like to see American League teams more often. Meaningful games against, instead of one series a year against the Tigers, a team that is a 4-hour drive away. Get back to the way it used to be with, 3 series a year there and here.
That makes very good sense. One of the best rivalries that we used to have here in Toronto was with the Tigers.
Oh, Scudero tried to time the jump. Just couldn't get enough airtime to take one away from Mark Teahan.
I got a little bit disgusted with himself, at least by his body language. He timed it perfectly right at the top of his jump. The ball went right off the glove, the tip of his glove. Just unable to get up high enough to make the play.
Make it 6 hits then for the Royals, all of them singles. And bring up Alberto Callaspo, 0 for 2. And he drops this in center field. Jacobs had to wait to ensure the ball wasn't caught, so he only moves up one base, and that loads him up with 1 out.
And again, another base hit on a ball that was not hit hard. The cutter ran in on the hands of Callaspo. Jams him, ties him up, but he dumps it right in front of Wells in center field.
In his last outing against the Angels, Roy had 1 bad inning. He gave up 4 runs to Los Angeles in the 7th. trying to get out of trouble here, and he starts Olivo with a strike. The beauty of Roy is that he can get a simple ground ball here to one of the infielders and end this thing. Swing and a miss. The 0-2 breaking ball away, and he got him. Olivo, an easy victim. Strikeout number 5 for Roy.
Now, the first pitch of the at bat, Olivo thought it was a little high. Then he gets painted with the next one, and then a breaking ball to finish him off. No chance pulling off of it. And it seemed like he was frustrated after the first call of the at bat.
Mitch Meyer is back at the plate. He's 0 for 2. Grounds it to first. Played by Overbay. No problem. Load up the bases and get out of it with a strikeout and a ground ball. Let's review, shall we? 4 runs inside the first 3 innings for the Blue Jays. Overbay with a solo home run. Aaron Hill hit a 2-run shot, his 13th of the year. And Roy Halladay 7 strong for the Blue Jays. All of it boils down to a 4-0 lead in the bottom of the 7th.
The big hit, that 2-run home run by Aaron Hill made it a 4-run ball game. And anytime you have Roy Halladay on the mound and you're up by 4, you have to feel very good about your chances of winning the ball game.
And once again, Kyle Davies goes deep into a ball game, but once again, he's behind the 8 ball right now. He's lost his last 4. Hasn't won a ball game since the 30th of April when he beat these Blue Jays at Kauffman Stadium. And now faces Aaron Hill, who rolls it to third. Mark Teahan throws him out a little high at first, but enough to get the job done, and Hill is retired, the first out of the 7th. Hey, yesterday, Victor LaCharity of Parksville, British Columbia, celebrated his 89th birthday, and we'd like to wish Victor our best. Beautiful town, just a short drive north of Nanaimo on Vancouver Island. And Victor tunes in to every single Blue Jay game he can here on Rogers Sportsnet, and we appreciate it. With one away, Alex Rios is 2 for 3 and up facing Davies. Initially, Rance, it looked as if Davies would have a brief outing here this afternoon, especially after giving up 4 runs after 3.
He got off to a rough start early in the ball game, but he's done a nice job of settling down, kind of restoring some order.
Rios is thrown out 6-3.
And at least keeping the Royals in a position of where they still have a chance to win the ball game. But they sure missed a good opportunity in the top of the 7th inning. The bases loaded, 1 out. You got a strikeout from Olivo and a weak ground ball out of Meyer. And you're not going to get many opportunities against Roy Halladay. They had 2 aboard in the 4th, and Guillen hit into a double play, which killed the momentum of that inning. And if you don't.
Inside the bag, a long throw, and it beats Wells. 1, 2, 3. The Blue Jays are gone in the 7th. They lead at 4-0. And the Rangers from Arlington. That game is available on Sportsnet Ontario and Sportsnet Pacific. On Sportsnet East and Sportsnet West, you can catch the Rays and the Yankees. And so join us for the first game of a 4-game set in Texas as Casey Janssen takes his 1-2 record up against Scott Feldman. Bautista slings to first, and he gets DeJesus trying to bunt his way aboard. And that's how things begin here in the 8th inning.
Bautista cheating way in. Take away a bunt base hit from DeJesus. Now you get that third baseman playing in as shallow as Bautista was. You have to pretty much make a perfect bunt right along that line at third base. Deaden it somewhat. Bunted that ball pretty much right at him and a little too firmly.
Here's Bloomquist blasting it to center field. Wells turns and runs back to the track and makes the grab. The Texas Rangers, by the way, are in Fenway this afternoon, and in the bottom of the 4th inning they lead the Red Sox 4-2. So they'll finish that series and then jet off to Dallas to begin the series tomorrow night with the Blue Jays. Boston started the day a half game ahead of the Yankees atop the American League East. Here's Billy Butler. Halladay, with 2 out in the 8th inning, has thrown just 83 pitches now.
And if you're Billy Butler, you walk the plate thinking it's a great situation to be in. The first two guys put the ball in play on the first pitch. Now I'm forced pretty much to have to take one against a guy that can paint you consistently. Quickly behind 0-1.
First pitch strikes, it seems, all day long from Roy. Oh, and 2. The 1-2 pitch, and down goes Butler again. Halliday's got him 3 times today. Easy pickings for the doctor this afternoon. Commentator clothing is provided in part by Z Zenya. Statistical information provided by StatsInc. Another brilliant afternoon at the ballpark from Roy Halladay as he and the Blue Jays lead the Royals 4-0. Last of the 8th upcoming, and Adam Lind is the hitter. The DH leads off, followed by Overbay and Barajas against Kyle Davies. With one more out, Davies will secure his longest outing of the season. He's got a 1-1 count on Lind, who lines it softly into right field, and it drops for a base hit.
Well, the ball wasn't hit hard off the end of the bat. If you're Adam Lind, you're more than glad to take it. Falls in for his first hit this afternoon.
Here's Lyle. His hitting streak is now at 13 consecutive. He taps this to third. Played by Tian. Tian off balance throw to first gets him in time.
Fine play by Tian, the third baseman. He was playing back, had to charge the ball hard, get rid of it with a quick snap throw, and a good play on the back end by Butler to handle the short hop to record the out. Just ahead of Overbay. Good job to get around the ball.
So one away for Rod Barajas now. Swing and a miss. Change of speeds from Davies. And it's 1-1. Paid attendance this afternoon at Rogers Center. 21,071. Little shy of the average for the Jays this year. Around 23,000 is their home average. That puts them 10th in the American League. This one popped up, foul ground. Butler chasing it down, and it's just beyond his reach.
Well, it ended up just beyond his reach, but the reason he didn't make the play was he wasn't sure where the wall was. Watch, he'll pull up right here because he's not sure. There's another great view, great angle there. Just was not sure how close he was getting to the wall. And then you pretty much at that point feel like a dunce. Especially when you come up, you're about 15 feet short of it.
Swing and a miss from Barajas. So he's a strikeout victim. 2 gone in the 8th inning. Well, the Blue Jays will go to Texas 4-4, and they'll be back on Friday. You can catch them here against the Florida Marlins beginning Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a very brief homestand, just the 3 games against Florida. Now the time to think about getting tickets. For more information, log on to BlueJays.com. Third baseman Bautista, and the 1-0 pitch from Davies up high for ball 2. Adam Lind is the runner at second. 2 balls and 1 strike on Bautista. The Blue Jays this afternoon with 4 runs on 9 hits. Kansas City hasn't scored. They've managed 7 hits, all of them singles. Bautista singled in the 4th inning, tried to stretch it into a double, but was thrown out by left fielder David DeJesus. And the replay showed he may actually have been safe, but that's certainly a difficult call for Mark Carlson, who's manning second base today. Here comes the payoff now. Breaking ball for strike 3, and Bautista's caught looking. Leadoff man gets on, but can't come home in the 8th. Still 4-0 Toronto. And though Aaron Hill's home run wasn't quite the whopper that Overbay had hit in the second inning, it did break him out of an 0 for 25 and gave the Blue Jays the 4-0 lead they enjoy now on the Kansas City Royals. So that whopper is brought to you by the home of the whopper, Burger King, as Roy Halladay pitches into the 9th inning here against the KC Royals. And frankly, Rance, after watching him on Tuesday throw 133 pitches, I did not expect to see a complete game attempt here this afternoon, but he's only thrown 87 pitches.
Been very sharp the entire afternoon, which comes as no surprise. Coming into the day's game, Roy Halladay, a career record of 140 and 67. And going back to the year 1900, of pitchers who have started their career after 1900, only 3 more have won more than twice as many games as they have lost. That's Lefty Grove with 300 wins, 141 losses. Whitey Ford, 236 and 106. And Pedro Martinez, 214 wins, 99 losses. So he is in some very elite company.
2 of the 3 in the Hall of Fame. 2 strikes on Jacobs. And an unpopular call there, ball 1. Popped him up. Barajas records the out. Jose Guillen is the next hitter.
Well, he talked about it prior to the game. You posed the question, do you think it might, after having thrown so many pitches in his last outing, affect Halladay this afternoon? I really didn't think so, because just not deep into the season yet. I think in August maybe a little more concerned. But as big and strong as Roy Halladay is, and of course in great shape, and he's been very efficient here this afternoon. The only real trouble was the bases loaded situation. You got to strike out and a weak ground ball to get out of that.
A 2-0 count on Guillen. We haven't seen this kind of thing very often, falling behind a hitter. But he gets a swing and a foul ball. 2 balls and a strike now. Strike 2. And now the fans are really into this. They want the W, they want the out, and they want the strikeout. One more, and everybody here gets a free slice of pizza. Popped him up. Back of second. Backtracking is Hill. Rios calls him off. 2 gone. We'd like to remind you tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, Sunday Night Baseball has the Phillies in L.A. to face the Dodgers. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. The World Series champs lead their division by 3 games. The Dodgers are on top of the West by 9. Roy Halladay looking for complete game number 3 this year and 43 career. And he might just do it throwing less than 100 pitches. 96 to this point as he faces Mark Teahen. The pitch. Grounded back to Halladay, and he has done it. Another beauty from the doctor. A complete game and a shutout of the Kansas City Royals as the Blue Jays go off to Texas on a high note.
Just another tremendous performance by Roy Halladay. Home run from Overbay, 2-run home run from Aaron Hill, and that pretty much sums it up this afternoon.
We'll take a short break and return to Rogers Center. The Blue Jays have defeated the Royals 4-0. What a day for number 32.